Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Ethan Burks, aka The Real EDB, and welcome back to another video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be going over the top 10 players from each position in NBA 2K18. So, point guard, shooting guard, small forwards, power forwards, and center. Now, there could be a little bit of controversy with the ratings and how players are ordered, but I'll give my breakdown as to how I think players should be placed and why, as well as some players that 2K might have left off the list. Now, with that being said, let's get into the rankings. Okay, now first, looking at the point guards, obviously number one is going to be Russell Westbrook. 2K has him rated as a 94 overall. He could even go up to a 95 personally, I think, with the season he just had. But a 94 is pretty well fitting for him. Steph got a 94 for this year. What the fuck? Well, it looks like Steph Curry's rocking the same overall as Westbrook. Don't really know how because of the addition with KD. Steph 100% I feel like shouldn't be the same overall as Westbrook with the season he just had. No disrespect to Steph, but he can easily be placed as a 93 or 92. Then it's followed by Chris Paul. No disrespect to Chris Paul, but 91 still. Chris Paul is one of those players where it's like it's Chris Paul and he has to be up there. I'm not saying he's fallen off or anything, but obviously his play has died down from his prime when he was early LA and as well late in New Orleans. So personally, I do think Kyrie or John Wall should be, if not both, should be ahead of Chris Paul. Then followed by that, we got Isaiah Thomas and Damian Lillard at 89. After that, we got Kyle Lowry and Mike Conley at 87. And 10, we have Kemba Walker. Looking at this, I'm trying to think of point guards because, one, I do feel like Kemba should be higher than Kyle Lowry, and Mike Conley's pretty underappreciated, I feel like. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I've never really been a fan of Kyle Lowry or whatnot, but I'm just trying to think of a way to get him off the top 10 list for whatever reason. I do think Kemba should be ahead of him. Kemba's play has just improved, I feel like, throughout every year since he's entered the NBA. But overall, just need to mix around the positionings. I think the top 10 point guard list looks fine with the players. Just kind of need to mix around the overalls and where players are positioned on the list, in my opinion. Okay, next up we got the shooting guards. One, obviously, being James Harden, coming in at a 95 overall. So that's where it kind of surprising me that Russ isn't a higher overall, because of the season he just had. Also, he won MVP basically beating out James Harden. So I find it a little bit unfair to Russ. Maybe they both should be 95s at least. But overall, I agree with the rating. But maybe just bump up Russ to a 95. Then Steph can stay at a 94 back on the point guard list. Following James Harden, we have two 90 overalls. One being Jimmy Butler, the other being Klay Thompson. That's fair to me. Then we got 89 DeMar DeRozan at number 4. Followed by 87 Bradley Beal at number 5. At 6, we got CJ McCollum. At 7, it's Devin Booker. 8 is Avery Bradley at 83. 9, D Wade. Like I said, he's kind of like Chris Paul. He's just one of those players you got to kind of throw on a list just because of how historic and great of a player he's been throughout his career. And then 10, we got Chris Middleton. Okay, don't like Chris Middleton at all being on this list. One, he barely played this past year, and Malcolm Brogdon just won Rookie of the Year playing their starting shooting guard. I honestly am kind of shocked they didn't throw Malcolm Brogdon on this list. I'd throw him in over Avery Bradley dang near. And I just feel like you could throw someone in better at number 10, maybe possibly like a Victor Oladipo or Evan Fournier, I don't know. I find it strange that Chris Middleton still found a way to make it into the top 10 shooting guards, even though this past year he was injured for more than half the season. But that's just my opinion. Okay, and now we got the small forwards. Obviously, number one's always going to be LeBron James. He'll be number one some way, somehow, the next 4 years in 2K. Number 2 is Kevin Durant at a 96. 3, we got Kawhi at a 95. So far, so good. Drops 4 overalls next to a 91 for Paul George, as well as Giannis Antetokounmpo. Honestly, respect to Giannis, I'd put him ahead of Paul George, just to put him at that 4. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference. There's got to be some kind of stat differentials when you look into their detail of the player in the game, but I'd honestly put Giannis ahead of Paul George. At 6, we got Gordon Hayward with an 88. 7, Andrew Wiggins is already making his way up the list. He's an 86 this year. 8, we got Carmelo. And I mean, do you throw Carmelo ahead of Wiggins? I don't know. I don't know if Carmelo should be hoed down to an 84 though. That's my thing. Because with him being in that system with Phil Jackson, it just made him look like a bad player. But he was still a 20+ point per game scorer. Did solid rebounding. Assist numbers obviously aren't always going to be the greatest for Carmelo, but he still played well enough this year to not be an 84. Then 9, we had Harrison Barnes. I honestly thought he would be a candidate from the beginning of last year for most improved player since he went into a MAV system where Dirk was aging and they didn't really have anyone else. So I thought he'd be a nice young athletic player with a developing jumper that could have a chance to win most improved player this past year. And then 10, I honestly can't even think of any small forwards off the top of my head, but they threw in Danilo Gallinari. Always been just a great shooter. Injuries have kind of plagued his career in recent years, but there's nothing you can really do about that. But overall, I agree with the top 10 small forwards list. Honestly, I agree with all the positionings, just maybe upgrade Melo another overall or two. Okay, now we're on to the top 10 power forwards, and this one is looking like a blowout for Anthony Davis, coming in at a 94 overall. It is then followed by Draymond Green at an 88. So Anthony Davis has a 6 overall differential between the next power forward. At 3, we have Blake Griffin at an 87, 4 Kevin Love at an 87, and 5 Paul Millsap at an 87. So 3-way tie for 87 overall. You could honestly go any way with how you want to rank them, 3, 4, 5. It's honestly not that big of a deal to me. Personally, if I'm being a little fan favorite, I'd probably throw Paul Millsap at 3 just because I've honestly liked him throughout his whole career, and I think he's a very solid power forward. At 6, we already got Kristaps climbing the ladder, coming in at an 86. 7, LaMarcus Aldridge is honestly starting to get up there in age. In the playoffs, he was really choking a lot. He comes in an 85. At number 8, we got Jabari. Sad for his career because he's kind of dealt with injuries since he came into the league. He's scheduled to come back in like January, I think, and hopefully it'll be a really big impact for the Bucks this year with their nice young core, and hopefully they'll make a good run in the playoffs, I hope. At 9, we got Dirk at an 80, and 10, we got Zach Randolph at an 80. Again, those two vets you just don't want to leave off the list, even though they're falling off in their career, obviously, because they're getting up there in their late 30s, almost early 40s. So I've always liked Zach Randolph, especially being from Indiana, so I really can't hate against Debo at all. Overall, I do agree with this power forward list. Again, like I said from the beginning of the video, it's just interchanging how you want to rank the players, even if they are the same overall. They might just have some small details in their stats that make them better than the other players. Okay, and finally we are capping it off with the top 10 centers, one being DeMarcus Cousins at a 92, and followed up very closely actually by Karl-Anthony Towns. So Carl's definitely climbing up the board. Honestly, by next year he'll probably be number 1, especially if DeMarcus stays in New Orleans. But I feel like DeMarcus definitely won't have that much of a workload on him, obviously being partnered with Anthony Davis. Hopefully Drew Holiday can also stay healthy this year and help both them out being a solid point guard. At number 3, we got Marcus Gasol at an 89. Solid overall for him. Marcus Gasol has just always been a beast. 4, Jokic is climbing the ladder. He's coming in at an 88 as well, followed by Rudy Gobert at an 88 at number 5. At 6 and 7, we got Hassan Whiteside and DeAndre Jordan coming in at 87s. And then 8 is Joel Embiid at an 86. Very interesting considered he didn't play over 35 minutes in a single game this year and only played less than 40. So 86, I don't know. Obviously, Joel's going to Joel, and he's a fan favorite, so I can see why they gave him an 86. At 9, it's Andre Drummond. To me, Andre Drummond is just one of those players that's done the same thing since he's entered the NBA. And number 10, very nice to see. He'll probably jump up on the board from next year. And he honestly could win Most Improved Player for this year because the Pacers losing Paul George. But Miles Turner, he's a really hard worker, man. I've seen him play a couple games live. Miles Turner is a beast. He really does have a nice touch with the ball on his jumper. And the one thing with him, I just hope he gets a little bit more aggressive and posts up more this year. I think he'll be a much better player if he can work on his post game. But going through the list, it looks like most of these centers are just those centers that don't really kind of have an outside game. Your Rudy Gobert's, Hassans, DeAndre Jordan's, Andre Drummond's. They're just those centers that have super high overalls because of their rebounding, their physicality, and being able to go up there and do some putback dunks, standing dunks, all that stuff. But overall, I do agree with the list. Yeah, like I said, just kind of interchange the rankings and it'll be all good. Alright, I hope you guys did enjoy this video of me going over the top 10 players from each category for NBA 2K18. I'm trying to download the Prelude right now. That might actually be my first gameplay. or it's going to be my last game on NBA 2K17 and I'm going to be playing against my brother and we're going to randomly select teams, but we'll see how that goes. I hope you all enjoyed. Please drop a like on the video, maybe leave a comment on anything I can improve on. Also, don't be afraid to drop a subscribe possibly. I'm going to be trying to upload, like I said, the 5 to 7 days. Obviously, I haven't been doing too well with that. But I will see you guys in the next video, and deuces.